Long time no see, my friend. Welcome back. I'm so happy to be back posting videos. We don't know for how long, but for as long as it lasts. If you are new here, hello, how are you? So, as you can probably tell, we are starting off strong by discussing our 75 soft challenge preparation. Is it a wise decision to be starting with such a difficult challenge? I do not really know. And this is probably like my fourth time trying this challenge. The other three times I failed. And but you know what? There is something positive about it. I know a couple of things to look out for this time around. So I'm hoping, with the right motivations, with your help, with your encouragement, we can complete this challenge by Christmas. So buckle in, guys. We are going to be discussing tips and tricks and what to do, what not to do, some rules and rewards and punishments and everything in between. And if you are looking forward to doing 75 hard or 75 soft, I hope this video is of help to you. Let's get in. Alrighty, so what is 75 hard? Well, basically 75 hard is this mental toughness slash fitness slash discipline challenge that people take on for 75 days, and it consists of five main rules which you need to do consistently for 75 days. And if you break that cycle, if you fail one day, then the clock resets and you'll have to start from day one for 75 days. And 75 soft is a version of 75 hard that is much doable, much more flexible, much more catered to your needs and wants. You can basically like decide your own rules for it, especially the workout one. The idea is the same, and a lot of people also don't make it as strict as 75 hard. So if you fail one day, for example, people don't necessarily reset. They just, pick up where you left off and continue, which I like a lot more. It's a lot less pressure, let's say. Now, why do this challenge in the first place? You could see this as a discipline challenge. You could see this as a mental toughness challenge, a fitness challenge, whatever you like. For me personally, I feel like having an end goal really helps to kind of motivate myself when things get difficult. But also, like, my intention for this challenge is very much so to set myself up for success. You know what I mean? Kind of like, yes, I'm habit building, but with certain rewards, certain perks to it, but also with an end goal per se. So I would highly encourage you, if you are looking into doing something like this, to maybe set an end goal to keep yourself motivated to do these things. And like, I'm not saying that once this goal ends, you can just do the complete opposite and lead a completely undisciplined life, but more so approaching it as like, if I do this continuously for these many days, then I'll get into the habit of doing it. Then it'll become part of your nature rather than you striving for it as we are doing these 75 days. Some days I believe you would have to just put in the extra motivation, put in the extra work to get these things done. But our hope is by the end of 75 days, it'll be so natural, it'll be so part of your routine that you wouldn't have to force yourself to do these things. You know what I mean? So let's go through each of these rules, and I'm going to share what I'm going to do about each of these rules, and I'll give you certain tips and tricks from what I've learned my previous times on how you can cater it to your needs. If you really want to do 75 hard, yeah, I hope it helps. Alrighty, so rule number one is a very important rule for people who are following 75 hard, because many people go on this challenge with the sole intention of gaining or losing weight and being physically fit, and so diet is very important. As for me, this is not a priority. How I'm going to be following this rule, let's say, is by making sure I eat thrice a day. That is a solid breakfast, solid lunch, solid dinner, and making sure I take my medication every single day. So I'm on certain medications that I need to have every single day. However, I have a tendency to skip certain meals for whatever reason, maybe I snack throughout the day too much and then I don't feel hungry when it's lunchtime, or it's simply because I eat a very late breakfast and then I skip directly to dinner. So lunch is the thing that's very, very difficult for me unless I'm at work. And so I want to change that. Also, my medication, I can only have my medication when I have food. And so, that kind of. I don't know much about diets. I'm not a specialist, and so I won't talk too much about it. My only advice is maybe do a little bit of research for what is good for you, for what is healthy, and maybe some things that you think are good for you are not necessarily good for you. So maybe get a professional to chime in and share their thoughts. I would highly recommend getting a nutritionist. This past summer, I had a full body checkup done and I got to talk to a nutritionist, and the insights they share, mind boggling. So I would highly recommend you do that. Anyways, moving on to our second rule. That is our one and only water intake. Now, the rule for 75 hard is to drink a gallon of water, which, according to my research, says is 3.78541 liters. Who has that kind of capacity? I barely drink 2 glasses of water every day, so this is extremely unrealistic. Okay, therefore I have resorted to having just 1 liter of water every day. That is way too much for me already. That might not be the case for you. You are very good at keeping yourself hydrated. I would encourage you to have 3 liters of water because I've heard that is the normal amount of water that you need. But also, I've heard that it depends on your weight. So I'm not really sure about that. For me, what's realistic is 1 liter to start off, and maybe once I get used to drinking 1 liter of water, I might challenge myself and increase. So, anyways, one suggestion I have is to get yourself a nice cutie patootie water bottle. I know there are also the ones that give like the times. I think that is also very cute, very encouraging. I do not personally like carrying a huge water bottle everywhere I go. That's why I got this cutie patootie with a balloon dog. So this is my half-liter water bottle. So my goal is to finish 2 of these every single day. So our third rule is to do two 45-minute workouts. One of them needs to be outside. I feel like this is the one that is a make or break for many people. Why they decide to do 75 soft instead of 75 hard, because people don't have the time to do two 45-minute workouts. Two, they're not interested, which is huge. The same for me. I'm not interested in doing two workouts. And by workouts, I mean like hardcore workouts. But I'm still going to try to do two kinds of physical activity for my 75 soft. One of them being stretching every single day. Your girl is very, very inflexible, and that is really messing with me. Everything hurts, and I'm only 26 going on 27. That is unacceptable. So I'm going to be stretching every single day. The second one is I'm going to be outside for more than 30 minutes. Walking ideally, getting some fresh air. But I'm also concerned about how it's going to be, what the situation is going to be once it's winter. I live in Germany, if you didn't know. And winters in Germany are not for the weak. And by weak, I mean me. It's not for me. Highly encourage also to look into what kind of work you do, because I feel like the last time around, I started doing 75 soft, started, doing like workouts. But then I also started a job that was very labor intensive, very like physically exhausting. And I realized I was doing more harm to my body than good to my body doing too much of exercise. I lost a lot of weight. It was not a very healthy time for me. Anyways, so if your work is very physically demanding, I would encourage you to consider that as one of your workouts. Not very revolutionary. I think that's a decent idea. So do with it what you can. Fourth rule, I'm so tired of talking already. I don't know if you can tell, but I hope I'm not boring you with my yapping. So, our fourth rule is going to be reading 10 pages of a non-fiction book. And I am so excited about this rule. I used to be such an avid reader in the past. I used to love going through books. I had this little tradition every month when I received my salary. I would go buy a new book and I would read it. I would finish reading it well before my next salary arrives so that I can start researching and think about which book I'm going to get next. However, somewhere along the line, I believe once I started teaching in a school, I kind of developed this love hate relationship with reading. My only explanation is that I had to read so much for work already, like textbooks and essays and things like that, that reading kind of became more associated with work rather than pleasure. So that I fell out of that habit, but I'm so excited to be back reading and develop that habit. And as I mentioned before, my main goal with this 75 soft challenge is to be able to like set myself up for success, therefore creating healthy habits. And therefore, like, I'm not going to set a particular limit for the amount of pages that I read, but I'm just going to establish the rule that I want to read every single day. Whether 2 pages, whether 5 pages, whether 10 pages, 15 pages, it does not really matter as long as I'm reading every single day. And my hope is that slowly but surely, I will start to get back into the habit of reading, into the joy of reading that I used to have. So, we are going to start off our reading goal with educated. This, I believe, is a memoir, and if I manage to finish that book before 75 days, I'm going to be rereading Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus. I know this is a little bit controversial, this book. Some people do not really like the ideas that are shared in this book. I personally really found this book helpful. And so this book dives into how women think, how men think, and the fundamental differences between both women and men. And I found this very insightful, actually. It almost felt a little intrusive. It felt like somebody was peeping into my life and writing things about me and my boyfriend, you know. But by the end of this, or even from the beginning, I would say, I found this very important. That is my recommendation. Try it out. If you don't like it, it's okay. At least you tried. But I would be rereading this. Okay, if you are not a reader, here are my tips for you. You could opt for an audiobook. You could listen to it during your workout, whilst you're running outside, whatever. And or you could listen to podcasts, for example. And if necessary, you can just focus on educational podcasts. There are a lot on YouTube for free. Explore those. Okie dokie, our last and final rule. Thank the Lord. I'm so tired of talking. Our last rule is to take a progress picture every single day. Oh, I have to be honest. I'm not going to be doing this because I'm not approaching this as a fitness challenge. However, one of my favorite things to watch on TikTok are those transformation, like picture transformation videos of people inserting like every single picture from their 75 hard challenge and seeing the difference in their body. Now, I I just love that. I love that for them. I feel so motivated about it. I would highly encourage that you do that if you are approaching this as a fitness challenge. What I'm going to be doing instead is I'm going to be starting the 1 second every day video like application. I used to do this in the past and it was so cute. I'll insert a small clip here. It kind of gathers a single second from every single day and makes a collage out of all of that, kind of like a video, a montage, let's say. So I'm going to be doing that. And also, I'm going to be doing my journaling. And then this is going to be the journaling I'm going to do every single day. This is my 75 soft page. I have all of my goals in here, and then I'm also with that going to write a sentence. So this is daily review. So I'm going to be writing a sentence, maybe a memory about that day, maybe something that was difficult that I want to just, you know, get out of my system, something in just one sentence, one very long sentence. For you, as I said, you could follow an app that you post your picture every single day in. You could post it on your Instagram stories, for example, if you want to encourage people to join you, to kind of like keep them in the loop for some accountability, all that stuff. Now, there is one extra thing that I'm going to be doing for myself, and that is a little reward. Created this reward chart. I know it's only 4 or 5 in here, but I'm going to be adding more to it so that I have more options. And every single time I go out and I want to do something, or I mean, like something like specific, go on a day trip, buy a specific item for my journaling, things like that. I'm going to be writing it, rolling, and putting it in my reward jar. And every single week that I complete, so when I complete 7 days, I get to pick out a reward from my reward jar and I get to do it. So I think that would keep me very motivated. So those are the ways in which I'm keeping myself motivated to do the 75 soft. If you have any ideas, if you are interested, if you are going to be doing the challenge, let me know how you are keeping yourself motivated and in the loop. I would love to know. Thank you so much for watching the entire way of me yapping. I hope you enjoyed. I hope to see you soon. Take care. Bye bye.